Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on what you can't see. He's a cornerstone piece. He's a guy you're going to want on your fantasy team.
It's all about them splash plays.
Oh my God, did that just happen? I can't believe he made that catch.
He's got that big play ability.
The football gods made this guy to play football.
All right, so he's just an explosive runner. He's one of those guys that when he gets in the open space, he just puts his foot in the ground and he's gone. What's up, what's up? Welcome into Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on things you can't see. I am the Blind Guy. You can find me on X at @theblindguyff. With me, as always, is my co-host, the crazy Canadian Shawn Thompson. You can find him on X at Maximus8911. Thanks again for listening, everybody, and now for watching. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, and check us out.
Yep, and for easier purposes, up there in the top left corner, we'll have widgets going through it, the intro, so you can follow us either on YouTube, Facebook, X, or Spotify as they flash around. I'm doing all right. How you doing, Alex?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a Wednesday, and we've got football to talk about, which is always a good day. So,
yep, lots of stuff going on in the football world. We're starting with here, Donald Trump been going nuts, and now he's been talking about football and how you have to watch it and how it costs families over $1,000 just for all these subscribe things going off. The Department of Justice looking into the NFL and how they broke that 1961 contract.
Yeah, do we have any new news on that?
I haven't seen anything new other than Trump talking about it. And
I haven't either.
But who knows? And then I also saw a thing too. So quarterbacks, when they get drafted, there's one round where a quarterback has never emerged from. There's only been 2 decent quarterbacks from there, but no superstar. Those 2 average ones were Mark Brunell for the Jaguars and Steve Grannon.
Is that
Grogan, Grogan?
Huh. I don't even know that name.
Yeah. They're the only 2 from the 5th round that got more than 37 starts in the NFL. Every other round has like somebody else, right? Like the 7th round has Purdy, the 6th round has Tom Brady. And just the 5th round, like there's so much stuff uphill where I'm just like, okay, once I saw this, I'm like, oh, so this is the play on how Sanders beat Brady, because nobody's ever come out of the freaking 5th round. There's been a couple guys from the 6th, couple guys from the 7th, but the 5th, for some reason, just didn't work out.
Well, that makes sense a little bit if you think about it too, because it's the middle of the last day. Like, yeah, modern era, that's the last day. It didn't always used to be that way. The draft used to be, what was it, like all in one day, right? But when you think about the round it's in, the 4th round are your guys that are not quite good enough to be in the 3rd. And your 6th round guys are the guys you want to make sure you're getting before they start getting to that point in the 7th, where it's like, okay, these are mostly undrafted guys we don't want to compete with other teams to get. So in that 5th round, it's kind of like that dead zone.
Yeah, well, look, here's some of the names that didn't work out. Mike White, Sam Howell, obviously Sanders, Nathan Peterman, Brent Hutley, Dennis Dixon, and Josh Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. So no names really stand out. At least the jury's still out on Sanders because he's so early in his career. But we'll see also with, like we've talked about, with the organization he went to. So we'll see.
Who knows what they're going to do? I just find that too and funny in Cleveland when they're getting asked about the quarterback competition. It's just between Watson and Sanders. They're not even bringing up Dylan Gabriel at all in the conversation. So it's like, okay, who made this pick? They're all gone because there's no talk on him whatsoever. Right. I think they're going to try to trade him when the preseason starts.
Well, I think part of that is also just, did he really belong in the 3rd where they took him? If they took him 2 rounds before the Sanders, and there's no talk, like you said. I think the only thing I've seen about him was right before the draft, I think it was, or maybe, right before the draft. I think it was Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland Plain Dealer saying something along the lines of like, don't sleep on Gabriel. He's showing out. Okay, well, you also told us that you should take Simpson at 2 and that Watson is outplaying everybody by far in minicamp.
Yeah, and I just
what are we doing here?
Watson outplaying anybody.
Right, exactly.
He's been off football too long, man. He's so rusty. He's made his money. He just doesn't care anymore.
Well, he certainly didn't seem to care when he was pulling himself off the field when the rest of the offense was trying to say, let's go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, we also got the Seahawks apparently are getting really cold. Like there's not really any offers coming in. There's no interest. So that's pretty interesting, especially from like a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of it is they're just thinking, okay, well, we know we're buying high because they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but even still, man, even if you're buying high, think about this. So on the opening day of kickoff, on that Thursday, when that first ball kicks, every team gets $400 million from the TV deals into their bank accounts because the season started. Here's your fucking money. Okay. The salary cap for every NFL team is $305 million. So you're already up $100 million.
Yeah.
Just at the start, before anything else, before selling a drink, before selling a beer, before selling a jersey, you're up $100 million. How is that not a good investment if you're rich enough to purchase a team? Every year you're just gifted $100 million for having it.
Well, it depends on your overhead there too, at least. Like with the
for
stadium
sure.
and all
That's
that.
pretty big, but I think your overhead could be covered by just what you're selling in those days while you're running.
That, and a lot of these teams too got so much in tax credits and grants to build the stadium. Like, I don't doubt that they still have fat checks that they have to cut for it, but they're getting help.
Oh yeah, big time. We got the schedule releases tomorrow night, but I've pretty much, I think, seen the whole schedule been leaked out already.
All right, all week we've been getting little updates of like, oh, this game is this day, this game is this day.
Oh yeah, it's a joke having a schedule release. Like, why are you leaking this stuff out? I wouldn't even give it to the teams until you do the schedule release. Make the teams watch it too, see where they are.
Yeah, if you really want to make it a thing.
I get the international ones. You have to do those ones early because guys got to get their passports. If they don't have them, there's a lot of paperwork. So those ones there, keep it how it is. Leak those ones early. That's fine. But the actual ones in America, come on.
Yeah.
Let the teams the teams are the ones leaking it out. So just don't even give them the option to even have the ability to leak it out.
I think that's part of it though, is that the NFL wants them to. Because like I was getting articles even before the week started. I think it was Sunday night saying, hey, it's like Super Bowl week for these media teams because we got the schedule released this week. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is nothing like Super Bowl week.
No, it's just people are making it too crazy, right? Because the NFL, once they started switching to something every month, it just gives people something to look forward to, and they just like crave for it. Did you happen to see Brandon Ayuk's Instagram post?
No, I didn't. I'm not really on Instagram.
Well, neither am I. I just freaking saw it, man. But basically, he's like, I'm back in the money, and then he's like showing off, buying a bunch of things and stacks of money and watches and stuff. It's like, what the hell's going on here, dude? You're not even getting paid right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because didn't the 49ers also void like a large chunk of his contract?
Pretty much all of it. Like they own his rights still because of the contract, but they don't have to pay him. They voided sections because of non-football, whatever, right?
Yeah, it was. I think they also cited like he wasn't taking his rehab seriously and stuff.
Yes, things like that, which are like technical grounds for dismissing a contract, but they'll still hold him. Like this, get rid of him. Like it's just a cancer. Everyone's like so pumped about this team that the Niners got, but to me, I'm like, all they did was bring a bunch of old guys back that are injury prone. So we're now even more so on the hook for injury prone than we ever were before. Like we're like the Steelers, right? You got a lot of great guys, but they're older. So they're going to be injury prone.
Yeah, the older you get, the more injuries happen. That's just a fact of life.
Yep.
Body doesn't recover the same. But I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to ask you how you feel about the Ayuk situation, because from the outside, it kind of looks like they're just holding him to, I don't know, hold it against him, I guess. Like, hey, you abandoned the team, so now we're going to punish you by making you stay here.
And here's basically what's going on. So the Niners have the contract. They don't have to pay him, but they still own the contract rights because he wasn't doing the rehab thing.
Right.
The Washington Commanders were going to trade for him before the draft. They found out nobody else was interested in the league for Brandon Ayuk because he's such a head case. So they pulled out going, well, if nobody else is interested, why would we friggin' be betting against ourselves in this buy-in market? You know what I mean? We're betting against ourselves. So we'll wait until the Niners drop them because there's no way they're using them. So that's what's going on right now. So the Niners are holding them, hoping another team gets interest with who knows, with preseason and all that sort of stuff, wide receiver injury. That maybe somebody will come and pick them up, but they got to drop them by, I think it's mid-August, or they owe them, have to start paying them again for next season. So it's one of these.
That's a real fishy situation,
game, right? Yeah. You want to talk about draft day shit? That's not draft day stuff, like the movie. This is it.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is just playing chicken. Meanwhile, you got Ayuk over there doing his thing to make sure no other team wants him with posts like that. Like, what is going on, man?
Oh, for sure. Just crazy times we live in San Francisco. But me and Alex, we've done another draft. We've 5-round super flex draft that we have here. Up here, we got the first round. We're still in the process of round 5, but we got the first 4 rounds we can go through. So our first round went Love, Tate, Lemon, Mendoza, Shadiq, KC Concepcion, Jadarian Price, which those first 8 is how a board should go. Various orders, obviously, depending on your league, but I think those are the first 4-8. I'm here at the 9 spot. I was just hoping one of those guys would drop so I could take them. I don't have a team I thought about Ty Simpson here, but I finished 4th last year, so I'm like, and I've been in the finals 6 of the last 8 years, so I'm like, I still got to go for this. So I went out on a limb and I took Nicholas Singleton at 9. What do you think? Ballsy
call. It's ballsy, but I can understand it, especially with how you feel about Singleton, particularly, and especially in a draft like this. You mentioned the first 8, and 9 and 10 is where it starts to get real weird. Like, I had these picks in quite a few leagues, and I had trouble trading 8, 9, and 10. That range is just, okay, call your shot now.
Yeah, you just basically you have to hope somebody drops, right? One person does something stupid and whatever, and then you had 10 right after me. You went Omar Cooper Jr., which I thought was a solid pick. I thought about him, but I don't know. I wanted a running back, right? Because my running backs are older, so I'm hoping Nicholas Singleton by the end of the season has cemented that job so I can use him for the playoff push.
Right, and I think that's part of it too, is looking at the backfield he's in. Pollard has been injured in the past, hasn't really shown he can do a full workload just by himself the whole season. Tajay Spears has half a knee and has that situation where, no ACL, right? Or something like that. So it's any given time that his career could just end.
Yeah.
So I could see it.
Oh, yeah. And then at the 11, we had Ty Simpson, finished by 12 with Jonah Coleman.
Yep.
Which those last 4 picks, man, it's
call your
hard
shot.
Pickings, yeah. Take your guy and don't even look back. So second round, we started out with Chris Bell, which I was surprised he went first in the second, especially with the people that were out there. Followed up by Eli Stowers, which kind of another surprise. And then Antonio Williams, which I've seen him go in the first round. Like I've seen Antonio Williams go as high as 1.8.
Yeah, I've seen that. And then I've also gotten him as late as 2.8 in another league. So it's kind of like we said, actually, early in the draft process. You said in particular, dude, once you hit that second round, even late first in some leagues, throw a dart because the order is going to be different in every single draft. And we've seen that even just in the drafts we've done so far.
Oh, yeah. It's just crazy. Depending on who you got. The 2-4 was Ted Hurst, followed by Denzel Boston, which I think is great value for him there. Mike Washington Jr. followed up, and then Striblin at the 2.07, which I think that's the highest I've seen Striblin go.
I think so too, actually. I've seen him in the 3rd in quite a few, and I was actually hoping to get him at 2.11 in one of mine, and he went just before me, just because at the back of the second, I think that's a good value for a receiver that was taken at the same draft spot as T. Higgins at 33 overall.
Yeah, but when I've seen a lot of things on why the Niners, how they did this draft class, because they're so sick of Debo, they got so sick of Ayuk and a bunch of other stars that they took purely based off talent, that they did this draft based off need and character, nothing else. They didn't even take talent into consideration, really. Like that was the 3rd thing on the list.
That's so wild if that's true, and especially with the draft capital that you expended there. I mean, if you get burned so many times, I can understand pivoting. It's just, I feel like you still got to take talent into effect. Now, the flip side, if you do want to spin this as a positive for Stribling, you could say they spent that high a draft capital on him. They want to prove themselves right, so they're going to give him every opportunity to work. And even if you don't believe in the talent so much, that constant opportunity could be enough to make him usable.
Oh, yeah. He's got Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall ahead of him.
Yeah, that helps.
I'm not going to say Mike Evans is injury prone, but he's 33. Last year was like last couple of years, he's been injury riddled. I don't expect that to change here with the Niners, especially now that you're plopping them in a practice field that's right beside a friggin' power plant transfer station, which is the reason that when they did that study from Stanford, they're like, this is why your Achilles keep popping and all that stuff, because the electromagnetism coming off this transfer plant is making your muscles weak. So
Right.
until they change that, they're going to be constantly injury prone.
Well, that, and even with Mike Evans, if you look at that receiver room, like you said, it looks like you're expecting Mike Evans to be Mike Evans of 26, 27 years old when you look at that receiver room. So do you really want to expect that from a 33-year-old? And the contract we talked about, it's mostly a 1-year guaranteed deal with years on the end that he can earn if he's still able to. But man, that's a lot to put on a 33-year-old.
I'm not as pumped as most Niners fans about the Mike Evans signing. I thought it was way too late.
I can understand.
The next pick we had here at the 8th slot in the second was Jeremiah Bernard. That's who I was hoping would follow me at the next pick. So I had to shift and go Malachi Fields there, which is one of my favorite sleepers of this class. He's a 6'4" and runs friggin' track speed, like 100-meter dash in like 9.5 or something like that. So the guy's got amazing speed.
Yeah.
Followed up by you with Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, and this is one of those drafts that I looked at and went, okay, well, I guess this draft is going to be one I just go completely different than the rest of my teams. I actually wanted Malachi Fields in this spot. It would have been, I think, only the second team that I had him. And I have Jackson Dart in this league, so it was going to be that like kind of backdoor stack. And I ended up having to pivot. And Emmett Johnson's a guy that I liked before he got drafted in the 5th round by the Chiefs. But it's also looking at that Chiefs backfield and Kenneth Walker. Everybody wants to talk about the upside, which I understand is great. But one of the things people seem to forget with Kenneth Walker is there were times that the Seahawks went away from him because they were giving him the volume and they weren't getting anything. And then there's also the times that Walker's missed time in, I think, every year of his career at this point. So give me the shot on a running back I like that has the pass catching profile. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit of Patrick Mahomes effect here. But I liked what he was before the draft spot, and the draft spot is just maybe a bonus if it works out. So give me a shot at the back of the second.
Yep. Well, I'll say this. Kenneth Walker, he did not have a great season. He had a great playoff run, and that's all people remember. But it was Zach Charbonnet that carried them through the friggin' season, and then he got hurt, and Kenneth Walker kind of really took over because they had no other options. 211 was Carson Beck. This will piss you off, that pick, I'm sure, because if he was there when you were on the clock at 301 or 302, I think you had those two, or 2 or 3 or whatever in the third, I was going to offer you a 2nd-round pick for it to draft back. So you just missed out because of this pick. 212 was Demon Claiborne. And then we have a 13 pick in this league because if you win the toilet bowl, this is the prize for winning it. And that was Zachariah Branch.
Man, I thought that was interesting value there too. He's been a 2nd-round pick in a lot. To get him in the, well, at this point, the last pick of the 2nd round, 1st pick of the 3rd, however you want to spin it. Take your shot. Like I said, end of the 2nd.
For sure. The 3rd round, we'll just go through these final 2 quickly here. We went Kenyon Black, Drew Allard, Chris Brazel, Skylar Bell, Oscar Delp, Eli Henderich, Eliza Surratt, Kentron Allen, Bryce Lance, Caleb Douglas, Max Clare, and Elon Randon. And you had 2 picks later in this draft. I think you traded your earlier ones.
Yeah, I had 3 and 4. I traded both. Trying to get more capital next year. And one, I also took the shot in acquiring Keon Coleman. There's enough talk. I think they're still going to give him an opportunity early. If it doesn't work, cool, I cut him. Get a roster spot.
Yeah, a little bit easier. I traded you. I forget what the hell the trade was. I think. Yeah, I forget exactly what it was. I know I gave up my future 3rd and something else.
Yep, future third for me to move back and a 4th. I also gave you this year. So the 3rd round to me, like there's dart throws that I like in there. So take your shot.
But it's ugly.
Yeah.
All right. 4th round that we're just kind of finished up here. We'll go over it quickly. Adam Randall, Jacoby Lane, CJ Daniels, Zion Thomas, which I'm surprised he went that far. Justin Jolly, probably steal of the round. Taylor Green, who I did want in a couple of picks there, but obviously Black Adam had to take him because he's got Shador, so it kind of backs it up. Kevin Coleman, Seth McNow, Cade Klubnik was going to be my backup. He went right before me, so I went Colby Young. I think he's going to end up as the wide receiver 3 in Cincinnati. Followed by the tight end in Jacksonville, which if you're out there in fantasy land, do not take this Nate Bullrichter. The guy's freaking awesome, but like he's more so a blocking tight end. He's going to have to carve out a role in the passing game when he gets his opportunities. And finished off with Cyrus Allen.
Yeah, Cyrus Allen, that speed guy. Interesting pick. He's one that I could see moving in to try to call your shot on them. That's happened a couple times in a few of our leagues. One of the things that surprised me a little bit about this draft is the way that these quarterbacks went off the board and kind of when they did. Like Beck went in the third, right?
211.
211. And then you had Drew Adler. I mean, maybe it's a little biased for me with the Steelers aspect of it. But if you're looking at those two, I think they probably could have gone a different order if you were asking me. But again, it's just, and then Klubnik, I was surprised he got drafted.
In this league, yeah, I can see it though, because it's this league you can only build through trades and friggin' drafting, right? There's the waiver wire is always scarce.
Oh, very.
So why not take a shot in the 4th or 5th round when there's not much out there?
Yep. Well, and that's kind of what we're saying, especially in this draft. 2nd through the 4th, 5th, call your shots because the order is whatever you want it to be.
So we got Aaron Rodgers quote here. He come out and somebody was talking to him. So this is it's titled Aaron Rodgers, His Recent Retreat and the Future. And he quoted saying, "I took a journey through the netherworld and met some old friends. They told me it's time." He's such a weird dude, man.
Well, he's just living his best life. So.
Oh, yeah. And then got some other things here we can talk about that's just fun. So this one here is RB legend for every decade, which I think is pretty cool. So I'll give you the honorable mentions overall. The honorable mentions were Emmitt Smith, Marshall Faulk, and Christian McCaffrey. They only give 3 honorable mentions. And the one who won it all is Jim Brown, which I agree with. As you know, every time we do Mount Rushmore, Jim Brown's my number 1 guy. Yeah. So for the 50s, they've got Joe Perry from the Browns.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The 60s is obviously Jim Brown. I don't think there's anybody that's done this game better that you can drop in any goddamn generation. It just doesn't matter. He would have dominated. 70s was O.J. Simpson. 80s was Walter Payton. 90s, Barry Sanders. 2000 was LaDainian Tomlinson. 2010, Adrian Peterson. And the 2020s, they've got is Derrick Henry.
Well, the only one I really think I would push back on would be the Derrick Henry.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if he's like I'd put probably Chris. Like who are you going to put there instead though? Christian McCaffrey, the honorable mention, or would you go Barkley?
I would think McCaffrey, and maybe part of that is that one of his best seasons was 2019, right? So just before the 20s. Maybe that's part of what's got me thinking that. But yeah, for me, I would lean McCaffrey in that situation. Just when he's on the field, who's better?
Oh, exactly. Well, you got a game plan for both of them different too. So it's kind of like, what do you want as well? And Henry's kind of on this path where he's going to enter that 10,000 yards, and he might be the last one. The only other one that could come close would be Shaquan Barkley.
So the only thing I would push back on Henry too, though, is think about how many games we saw where he was like 14 carries, 12 yards.
Oh, I know.
You know,
it's easier to stop if you got the right guys to do it, right? Like, you got to hit him before he gets started, and then he can't get going.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I'm at, is to call him the most dominant of the decade. Like, you're not getting stopped at all.
Well, here's how I like to look at this. Okay, if I take Adrian Peterson and I drop him in the era of Jim Brown, I think Adrian Peterson is going to do all right. He's a tough motherfucker.
Absolutely.
Like they tried to do what they do to Derrick Henry to stop him, and it just wouldn't work. Like people would bounce off him, he'd run through him, right? But if you take Derrick Henry and you drop him into that 60s, I don't know if he ever gets 100 yards.
Really?
Think about that 60s, man. Like what you could do and how you could hit them, how you can get through the line, the chop block, and like as soon as he's touching the ball, I think you would have somebody right on him hitting him. And we already know in this era when guys are hitting them, when there's so many rules on how you can hit a guy, that you can't do it. So I'm putting them in the 60s where people could fucking hit them as hard and however the hell they want. I don't see him being able to do it. I don't even know if he'd get 100 yards, man. The game was so rough back then.
It was rough back then. I agree with you. But he also is bigger and faster and stronger than, I would say, anyone on the field at that point. Don't you think?
Jim Brown's in that area, so no, I don't think. And you had some nasty fucking linebackers in that era too.
Oh, I'm not disputing that, but Derrick Henry is also built unlike most humans, even today.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is today's age, people could stop him. You just talked about these 12 carries for 14 yards, and he's removed from the game, and then the scat back has to come in and do all like Elon Mitchell, or what's his name, Quinton Mitchell there, that went to the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers.
Yeah, Mitchell there, that was the little guy for the Ravens. Then he got hurt, missed a season last year. Even when Henry was getting stopped, he would come in and take
Keaton
over
Mitchell.
the freaking game. Yeah, Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah.
Even he would take over the game from Henry when Henry couldn't get going.
Well, I'm not disputing that, but I think we both agree that football today is better in terms of the athletes on the field than it was then. And I just think taking Derrick Henry, who is a freak athlete, even for today's standards, I think he's going to find a way to figure it out no matter where you drop him. I agree with you. It was physical then. It's just, I also think Henry's a freak. Like, think about how hard he is to tackle. You have to gang tackle him.
Oh, once he gets going, yeah. I just don't think he'd be able to get going in the 60s. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, that's for sure. AI, build it.
We'll move on to the quarterback one. The same thing for every decade. Obviously, the overall GOAT they've got is Tom Brady. Don't know how you do it anything else with 7 Super Bowls. Their honorable mentions are Otto Graham, Dan Marino, and Aaron Rodgers. So the 50, we got Johnny Unitas, 1 Super Bowl. 60s, we got Bart Starr, 5 championships. 70s, we got Roger Staubach with 3. 80s was Joe Montana with 4. The 90s was Brett Favre with 3 MVPs. The 2000s was Peyton Manning with 5 MVPs. 2010 was Tom Brady. He's got 7 Super Bowls. And the 2020s, they got Patrick Mahomes with 3 Super Bowls. So I pretty much agree with this whole list.
Yeah, I don't think I dispute any of those.
No.
It's hard
Me
to,
neither.
especially.
So I think they got that one right at NFL.com.
Good job.
So here's another one I thought that was awesome to look at. 1 year season wonders. Number 1 they got is Peyton Hillis with 1,654 yards for the Browns in 2010. Made the cover of Madden. It was a great season. I still remember.
Oh
him.
man, that's one
chucking, right?
Yep, it's one we talk about with my friends all the time. So he was so much fun, and then Madden cover athlete, and we never saw anything again. He got a big contract from, I think it was the Broncos.
Yeah, I think it was actually. Got paid and then just fell off the face of the earth. Couldn't do it. Just
that was wild.
Sometimes one season everything works out, right?
Yep.
In second, they got Nick Foles because he had the 2013 season and the 2017 season when he won the Super Bowl. So he's got 2 years up there. Third is Josh Gordon in 2013 for the Browns with 1,646 yards. That was another awesome season. Like, he was unstoppable that year.
Can you read his yards and Peyton Hillis's yards again? Because I think it was the same.
Hillis had 8 more yards.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's super close between those two. Maybe it's just a Browns thing. Every once in a while, you get a year of 1,600 yards from a player.
Yep. 4, they got Carson Wentz that 2016 year when he was the MVP favorite and then got hurt.
And then Foles. Yep, that was wild.
5, Matt Flynn. We talk about this one all the time. 2011, then he went to Seattle, got paid, and Russell Wilson ended up stealing the job as the 3rd round quarterback. 6 is Odell Beckham, his rookie year in 2014. Didn't even play the first 6 games and still put up 1,300 yards. 7, this one's my buddy Chris's favorite because he called this. David Johnson in 2016 with 2,118 yards.
Yep. And that was with Andy Reid, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just crazy.
Oh, no, not Andy Reid. It was
the year after.
Bruce Arians.
Yeah, that's it.
8th was Robert Griffin, his rookie season. 9 was Michael Clayton in 2004 with 80 receptions.
Man, those are the Ravens. I always forget that one.
10 was with Case Keenum in 2017 when he was a starter and went 14-3.
Again, I think that was the Minnesota Miracle against the Saints.
Yep, it was.
Diggs. Marcus Williams just running right underneath him.
Then we got the last thing we got here is 40 times. And the title is 40 times do not equal wide receiver 1. So we got Xavier Worthy is number 1 with 4.21. John Ross is second. Ruggs is third. We got Matthew Golden, I guess, who everybody's expecting right now with a 4.27.
Yep.
Then it's Thornton, Nelson, Jerome Ford. I didn't realize he was that fast with the 4.28.
Really? No, I had no idea.
Golden's 4.29. It was Goodwin that was 4.27.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then we got Thornton Jr. for the Raiders, who was just taken last year, and Darius Hayward Bay. None of those guys have done shit, man.
Yeah. Well, Hayward Bay, I think his best season was like 800 yards. He was always that deep guy.
That was the year Al Davis died, right? Because that was Al
so.
Davis's last first round pick was Darius Hayward Bay, and then what was his name? Hugh Jackson started featuring all the friggin' guys and getting them to play for that year, and that's when he had his best year. But
Crazy.
Anyways, let's get in, talk some ball.
Yes, sir.
Time for the Grape Light, where we discuss what's happening around the league.
All right, we got some news for you. The football world's starting to pick up here. So the first thing we got here is the NFL Refs Association has just signed a 7-year contract that was voted and passed. So we will not be having replacement refs for this season.
And everybody's got to be thrilled about this, right? Except maybe the replacement officials.
Yeah, maybe. They wouldn't have even told anybody they're a replacement official,
right?
Like they probably might have just been starting the process.
Right, so maybe you're just a little disappointed because you thought you were going to be one. But I think this is good. I haven't seen the details of the deal yet. Hopefully they start getting these refs trained up a little better too. I think we need to stop having the officials be such a focal point when we are talking football.
They need to trade them up, and they need to have that guy like the UFL does. But there's one in the booth that can be like, hey, stop the play. We need to look at this a little bit more. And the UFL is starting to get that down. Like, they get it done within 30 seconds every type of play. Like, the ref and the ref on the field are constantly talking with each other to see if they need to even look at anything.
And I think even the NFL has gotten better with the parts that they have implemented like that on the field. So I think hopefully it's just a matter of time before we see those changes that we're talking about, and just the games are officiated better.
Yep.
Like, it took what? How long has the NFL been around that we just got digital chain gain? Last year?
Yeah.
Just crazy.
We also got the New York Jets have extended Breece Hall in a 3-year, $45.75 million. So he got paid.
Good for Breece. And it does kind of suck in the sense that we don't necessarily have that positive outlook on the Jets yet. But man, he got himself some money.
I just hope his knees can hold up on that MetLife field.
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
He's had a couple of injuries, and I think it's just purely due to that. But to me, the guy's the best talent in the game and for the running back position right now. He just happens to be on a shitty team. So hopefully they can start picking up, and we can really see what Breece Hall can do.
I agree.
We also got the Broncos have extended their GM, Patton, for 5 years. I think he's done a good job working with Sean Payton. So you got to keep those two guys together. Yeah,
absolutely. They seem to have a good working relationship going.
The Chargers signed David Njoku to a 1-year deal worth $8 million, which I think that's a great little sign. And if anything, for coming on the field for clutch situations and just being a player's coach for Gatson and helping his development go. Because I think we're going to see a lot more 2 tight ends on the field as well. So that also gives them 2 legit tight ends for LA Chargers.
Yes, I agree. I like this fit a lot too. And Mike McDaniel actually was one of the higher end coaches as far as play rate in 12 personnel like that. And if you think about the season Darren Waller had, a lot of what he was doing was just leak out, get him the ball quick and let him make a play. Well, that's exactly when David Njoku had his best seasons, and that's something he is good at. So let him do that with Mike McDaniel. Could be in for a decent season.
They might have the 2 most athletic tight ends in the game.
Yeah.
It'd definitely be arguable.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't, off the top of my head, can you think of anyone that you'd put on that level? Goddard's not that athletic, but that was the other one I started to think of.
Well, the only one I could kind of think of that would be on that scale would be Juwan Johnson.
With Oscar Delp?
Oh, you mean for both?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Maybe the Bears with Kemet and Loveland. But they're not really athletic. They're a different type of tight end.
Right. Loveland's athletic, but yeah, like you said, different.
Not an athletic freak. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Shu and Gatson are athletic freaks.
Right.
And that's more so what I mean. Like,
yeah.
We also got the Steelers have extended their kicker Chris Boswell 4 years for $28 million.
And they love him, and he's a great kicker. So good job, bud. Keep doing it.
Wow. Tomlin went through a lot of kickers before he found Boswell.
Yes, he really did too.
Buffalo signed outside linebacker edge Mike Dana to a 1-year deal as a depth piece. Nice little pickup. He was formerly on the Chiefs, so professional guy there.
Yep.
We got Atlanta that has Michael Penix is back on the field throwing the ball. Who do you think is going to win that starting job?
I honestly have no idea. I really do think it's a coin flip, and I think it's whoever gets the momentum and is able to keep it.
I don't know how you give it to Tua.
Well, I think we've talked about this in past seasons. I think if you have a situation like this where you have the young kid / almost rookie and the veteran, you kind of have to go rookie first. In this situation, like JJ McCarthy and Kyler Murray, if you start Kyler, JJ's career is over in Minnesota.
For sure.
I think it's kind of the same here with Penix and Tua. If you start Tua first, you're saying Penix is not ready and Tua is better. Like, you picked him at 8 overall, and this is his 3rd year.
Yeah.
So
I agree. If they go with Tua, then Penix is done.
yeah.
Then if they go with Murray, then friggin' McCarthy's done. So I don't know how you do that, but I think Minnesota is going to go with Murray, even though they shouldn't. Then we got a little bit of strange news here for the Dolphins. Le'Veon Moss signed as an undrafted free agent there, and then the next day retired from there.
Yeah, so the article I was reading said he was with the team for a month.
Month?
Yes.
Still, that's enough just to see. I don't want to work freaking for this organization. I'm out of here.
Yeah, 100%. But I also think that's being generous because it's not even May 23rd, and the draft started April 23rd. So
yeah, I don't think he was in the building that long because he was at least a week after. He was a late signing.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. And I'll give you a chance to bring it up on the podcast, but I thought you had an interesting idea about what you'd like to see with some of these undrafted free agents with the UFL.
Oh, yeah, like somebody's got to do it, right? Bet on themselves and just be like, you know what? I'm not signing one of these undrafted free agent deals right now with the NFL. I would tell all the teams I'm interested, whatever. And then I would hop over to the UFL, find the team that wants to friggin' highlight me, sign with them, play. You're obviously missing half the season. So you play like half a season in the playoffs. If you show out, now you're signing for more money as an undrafted free agent after that, and you're more in shape, and you know what I mean? It's just going to better your NFL career and give you a leg up, I think, more so than just rushing and signing, trying to get that money.
Yeah, I think that would certainly be an interesting path.
We also got the Minnesota Vikings are adding Adrian Peterson to their Ring of Honor this year, which Adrian Peterson said he was surprised about. Man, you had a great career there. They should be putting you in that Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think that's just Peterson being humble, maybe. I'm surprised in the sense that it's taken this long. Like, how long's he been out of the league now?
2 years.
Has it really only been 2 years?
Yeah, he was on the Commanders 2 years ago. Before Jaden Daniels got there, that year before that. That was his last year. So the timing to me makes sense. It's just they had to make sure. You normally wait 2 years, right, to make sure he's not going back out, or he hasn't officially retired yet either, I don't believe.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. I don't remember talking about it. I just kind of thought he did, just because I think his last time with Washington, it was just like, all right, what do you really got left?
Yeah. And then the last piece of news we got for you, get this here right. Former GM of the Jaguars, Emmett Patel, who embezzled $22 million to bet on FanDuel.
Oh, yeah, okay, that guy.
He is now suing FanDuel for them allowing him to make these bets. Okay, so FanDuel put a gun to your head, said steal $22 million from the Jaguars and bet that money away.
Yes, totally.
God, this world is retarded sometimes.
Man, it's just so got to take responsibility for your actions. It's crazy.
Yep, just nuts. But that's what we got for the news. Now you got the grapes. Go make the wine.
Bell time. Let's get into it. The league that the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has things to do with, United Football League.
All right, we're into UFL talk, and we just finished week 7 of the United Football League. So the first game we had of the weekend was Columbus versus St. Louis. So we'll get in and talk about that game. Just to the stage here first. Which one? This is the one I want. All right, so we had Columbus lost to the Battlehawks, 31-20. Perez put up 204 yards for the Battlehawks, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Hakeem Butler had 3 catches for 77 yards. He's one of the stars of this league. He's make it in the NFL. Columbus on the other side, McLennan threw 153 yards for 2 touchdowns and an interception. And Tay Martin for him had 7 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, and this was just a rough game for Columbus. I think they were down pretty big at halftime, and a lot of their scoring just came in the second half when it was garbage time. Columbus just off to a tough season so far.
Oh, and the Battlehawks playing in their home stadium too, when they got all those fans. It's a loud venue compared to everywhere else, so those fans can really rattle the away team coming in.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I think that fan group is trying to get more football back in St. Louis, which I don't think is a bad idea.
Nope. We're going to have some more teams coming here shortly, so that would be one of the cities I would put on for adding for the States anyways, because I don't think you'll see them all over the world, but
right.
We'll get there. The next game we had on the weekend was the Louisville Kings going in to play the DC Defenders. The Kings have been playing well as of late. Alex and I have been talking about how much they've been improving since week 1, and they actually won this game 30-13. They were down at half, 13-10. But Rodgers threw for the Kings 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, played well. On the other side, Tamu threw 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but in the end lost, putting the DC Defenders to 5-2 and the Kings to 3-4.
Yeah, and this game just fell apart for DC in the second half. They had 4 turnovers in the second half. And I also believe there was 4 sacks in this game. So Louisville getting it done.
Yep. Coming together.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be interesting. The third game we had was Dallas Renegades going in to play the Birmingham Stallions, and the Stallions won 21-17. For Dallas, they didn't really have too much going, but Reed threw 166 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. For Birmingham, Dorian Thompson-Robinson had 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And TDP was their running back for the Stallions, and he only ran for 46 yards. Former third-round pick of the Niners. Can't even get it going in the UFL.
Gotta bring that. Kyle Shanahan pick. Watch out for Keelan Black.
Yep. Well, I will say this, though. Keelan Black, they smashed him in the locker room between Kurt Warner and Christian McCaffrey. So tell me you want this guy to fucking learn and develop without telling me you want this guy to learn and develop. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You can't put him in a more perfect spot for his position. Here's the guy that does what you do, and here's the guy that's going to try to stop what you do. Ask them questions.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. Crazy. That was the third game we just talked about. We'll move on here to the final game of the weekend, Orlando Storm versus the Houston Gamblers, and this one came right down to the wire. The Storm won 24-23. Going into the half, Orlando was like pushing, and they were down at the halftime or before the half, and they went to try to kick a field goal, but what was it, Stoops?
I believe so. It was a 63-yard attempt. Missed it.
Well, Stoops missed the friggin' catch, which would have made it a 50-yard attempt right before that kick, which would have gave them a 1-point lead, but they end up winning the game anyways. Exchange field goals in the fourth quarter. That was the only points really in the fourth or in the second half. Plummer threw for 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. For Houston, Decker threw for 268, no touchdowns and an interception. So Elijah Badger, the wide receiver for the Storm, had 4 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think it's back-to-back weeks. He's had a pretty solid game. Seems to be getting on the same page there with his quarterback.
Guys are just starting to get warmed up last week, I found, with the 2 weeks they only get for training camp.
Yeah, which is also interesting because now we're starting to get to the point where you got to start paying attention to that playoff race too. And Columbus at 2-5, the only team that seems like they're not really in it.
Yeah, basically. All right, we'll move on to this weekend's game. The first one we got here is Friday at 8 o'clock on Fox, and that's between the Orlando Storm and the Dallas Renegade.
Should be a good matchup there. I think they're both 5-2.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, Dallas is 3-4, but I think Orlando's 5-2. I forgot to write theirs.
Yes, they are. Yep, Orlando's 5-2. We got 3 teams at 5-2, and then Dallas at 3-4, and Columbus at 2-5.
Orlando's been playing well lately, so I expect them to go into Dallas and win this game.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. they've been on a roll, and coming off that emotional win last week, I think they're going to keep rolling.
All right, we'll move on to the next game here. We got is Saturday between the DC Defenders and the Louisville Kings. DC sitting at 5-2. Louisville's at 3-4, but on a hot streak. And after how the Defenders just played this past weekend, I'm going to go with the Louisville Kings to win this one, man. They've been playing some tough ball lately.
They have, especially after, I think it was week 1, they put up that dud, and they kind of turned it around since then. So I like the football they're playing.
Yep.
And their defense has stepped up too.
I thought for sure they were going to be a laughingstock of the league the way they started doing on week 1, and then they've just slowly been improving each week.
Yep, I like it.
All right, the third game we got here is Saturday at 3 p.m. on ABC between the Houston Renegades and the St. Louis Battlehawks. St. Louis is at 5-2, and I forgot to write down what Houston's at because
I think they're also 5-2.
Yeah, they must be. Oh, no, they're not, because Orlando, DC, and St. Louis is 5-2, so they're probably 4-3.
That could be.
But in St. Louis, it's going to be hard to play because, like we were just mentioning, the noise is going to be there. St. Louis also has Perez, pretty solid at quarterback, going against Houston, who has Decker. So, yeah, I'm going to go with St. Louis in this one.
Yeah, quarterbacks and coaching matter in this league more than others.
Especially the coaching.
Yes.
All right. Final game of the weekend we got here is between the Columbus Aviators and the Birmingham Stallions. Birmingham, although they've started out sloppy this season, they've picked it up too, like the Kings, and been getting better and getting back into that championship form. They won last week. Columbus is struggling, so I think Birmingham's going to stay in that win category and easily walk all over this one with Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
I agree. And one of the areas that Birmingham has started to try to turn around has been their defense. So last week, I think their defense had 4 sacks, and I think they're able to do that again this week against Columbus, who's been struggling overall.
Yeah, that's for sure. But that's how we saw the UFL weekend.
Brighter light.
All right, we're in the brighter light, and that's where me and Alex ask each other questions between two fantasy guys that could be the same position, they could be different, whatever. Scenarios will change from week to week. Just give two people, and we'll talk about it and say who we'd like better between the two. So the first one I got here for Alex is, who would you rather have? Jeremiah Love for the Cardinals, the rookie, or Breece Hall from the Jets, who just signed his contract?
Yep. This is tough because I love both players here. And both teams not very good in divisions where the teams around them are probably better by quite a bit. I like, it's not just the new talent in Jeremiah Love. I like the fact that if Jacoby Brissett is the starter, which I expect, he's also someone that's going to check the ball down. Geno might do that, but I think with Arizona, they're going to have to rely on Jeremiah Love with not just where they drafted him at 3, but the money they're paying him. That deal that they just gave Jeremiah Love on his rookie contract, being drafted 3rd overall, is a 4-year, $53.9 million guaranteed contract. All of it's guaranteed, which is crazy because he's still making more than the other guy we're talking about here in Breece Hall, who is a talent that I love. I just worry about the Jets. I don't think they're ready to turn the corner yet, where I think Jeremiah Love can still put together a better season than we just saw from Ashton Genty last year, which led to a disappointment in fantasy owners. So give me Jeremiah Love.
Really? That's interesting. I'd go Breece Hall myself, but
okay,
just because he's got those 2 new knees now. I'm hoping he finally has a healthy season. They're gonna have to, they got more pieces. No, geez, it's just so close between these two. But Breece Hall, these are my 2 favorite running backs in the league too. So this really tears at me. But I think I'm going Hall slightly.
Well, see,
next year I'm going Love, but this year.
So you want to see it first, is what you're saying?
I don't want to bet on Love.
You've seen it from Breece.
The Ashton Genty thing where it takes a little bit longer than it should for the game speed to catch up to him.
That's
so
fair.
I want to wait for that game speed to come, where Hall's already got that game speed. And to me, that's the difference, because both these guys, they can run the ball up the middle. They can go to the outside with the speed. They can catch it. Like every time they touch the ball, either one of these guys can take it to the house. So it is cutting hairs here.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I'm going to go with Breece Hall.
All right.
So we'll move on to what you got question for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, so I've got 2 receivers for you, one from last year's draft class, one from this year's. And I've got Luther Burden, which the reason I chose this one is because early on in the draft process, like when he was still in college, we both really liked him. And then it seemed like you kind of faded away. Like, I'm not sure he's got it because of what he was asked to do was that short area, make a play after the catch. Versus new guy, Skylar Bell, who is a receiver that we both really liked coming out, gets the good landing spot in Buffalo with Josh Allen. So one guy kind of moving down from what I'd gathered in your rankings, another guy moving up in the new piece. So which way are you going?
Well, for this upcoming season, I think I got to go Luther Burton here just because I know he's going to get on the field. I feel like Skylar Bell is the piece in case Shakir goes down. Then we'll just plop in Bell there and he can replace without losing much of a step. Where Burton, I think, is going to be the focal point of the Bears, kind of like Ahmad St. Brown was of the Lions. So I think it's going to take some time for Bell to carve out a role for the Bills.
I could see that. And for this year, I think it makes it a little easier too with the DJ Moore trade coming in and leaving Chicago.
Like, who do you think gets more playing time for the Bills? Skylar Bell or Keon Coleman?
See, that's where I think it's interesting because it really depends on how you feel about Keon Coleman. And I think he's going to get the first opportunities, but if he still is missing meetings or late to meetings or whatever else was going on there, then I think they're probably going to pull the plug pretty quick on him and go to the new guy and try to prove themselves right. Because part of the offseason story was who made that Keon Coleman pick, right? Between Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane.
It was Josh Allen.
And then you fire somebody else and blame him. So,
well, I think
what they
should have fired fucking Beane because think about this, man. You're firing McDaniels. Why? Because he gave fucking Josh Allen the power to pick his wide receiver and he picked wrong. Well, that's more on Beane. That's his fucking job to pick the fucking players.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Whose job description has construct roster in it? I think that's the GM.
Yeah, GM does everything like that. So, to me, that's where I'd be looking is Beane. But McDermott McDermott is third. If he was currently still a coach, he'd be third on the list for most wins of a current coach.
I'm not surprised. We've seen a lot of turnover the last couple of years, and I think part of the reasoning they gave was we need something different because this isn't working because they couldn't get over the hump, right?
Yeah.
I am a little surprised though that McDermott didn't have some kind of defensive position offering or something. I'm sure it'll come.
Who knows if he wants to take a year off too, right? Like that coaching, like you don't see your family at all. There's freaking really no breaks. You get a 1 month break, I think, after the draft. Or no, after the Super Bowl, like that January. Well, the playoffs are going on. Unless you're a playoff team, then you get no time off.
Yep.
So it's a hard freaking job, and I wouldn't blame him if he wants to take a year off. But my thing was with him, and I was calling for him to get fired for years, to get Josh Allen to that next step because he's just shy of where Mahomes is. You need an offensive coach that can grow his mind even more. So, he's had Joe Brady, but at least now Joe Brady can make the calls that need to happen for those development process.
Yeah, I would agree. Not just the calls, but setting him up in a play environment that's not just, hey, Josh, go play hero ball. Because a lot of times when plays, like when the game was on the line, it seemed like that's what they were doing. And part of that is Josh Allen's personality. But that's where maybe you open him up, like get him to the point where he sees that you can make his game better by him playing within this guideline instead of, okay, well, go break the guideline all the time because we need a play. Like do that sometimes, just not all the time.
Yep, for sure. But that's what we got for Brighter Light this episode. If you guys would like to see us compare two people, put it in the comments and we'll get to it next episode.
Fantasy Light.
All right, we're into Fantasy Light. This is where Alex and I are going to talk specifically today for the AFC West teams, who we like on it, who we don't like on them, and who we're kind of could go either way on. We'll start out here with the Broncos. We'll pull up Alex's fantasy thoughts on the Broncos here. So Alex is warm on Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and Jonah Coleman. He's cold on Evan Ingram. His must-haves are Jalen Waddle, Bo Nix, and his sleeper is Justin Jolly.
Yeah, so for this one, I don't have any of the running backs in the hot just because I don't know who it's going to be. And Sean Payton is the kind of coach we've seen, especially since being in Denver. He's going to give it to everybody. And just when you think it's going to be that guy, it's going to be somebody else. So I think between Coleman, Dobbins, and RJ Harvey, that they're all three close enough that we could see that cycle until we start to see somebody take the job.
I chuckled when I saw your list for warm. You just took the whole running back room, slapped them in there, and hope one of them freaking comes on. There's nobody that he's not on. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. Who would you put for odds on that?
So if I had to pick one as to who I think might be the odd man out, I can't help but hear the negative surrounding RJ Harvey. I thought he had a great season. He finished strong the last 5 games of the season. I'm just taken aback by the fact that they would come back the next year and draft another one. And I wasn't surprised to see them bring in J.K. Dobbins because I thought that they would for another year. It worked out pretty well. But I didn't expect another running back that early after drafting R.J. Harvey and him having a productive season.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'll pull up my Broncos list. So here's Shawn's, which is mine. I'm warm on Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin. I am cold on Evan Ingram like you are, and Pat Bryant. I don't see how he has a role anymore with everybody else that's there. Not like he did last year anyways.
Right.
My must-haves are J.K. Dobbins because I think he's going to be the focal point in the running back room for that team. Jalen Waddle, there's a reason they traded for him and brought him over, and that's just going to fit more the style that Sean Payton likes to do with the slants that he did with Marquise Colston. And who's the other one there? Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Yeah, can't guard Mike. That was his handle.
Oh, Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. Same sort of thing, right? So that's what Waddle's game plan can fit in that. And then Bo Nix, I think with his running style, he's going to be one of the guys you're going to want to get. And then like you, same sleeper with Justin Jolly.
Yeah, and I didn't get into it, but I think we're on the same page with the Jolly being a sleeper. One, Evan Ingram is getting up there in age and has not been able to stay healthy in quite a while. That was even the problem last year, where if Jolly can pick up the offense and Peyton can design it as, hey, I got that athletic tight end. It didn't work last year with Ingram. Maybe this guy can do that. I think you can get a surprise season.
Yep, that's my thoughts too. And Jolly just fits what he likes in that tight end, right? Like even before they drafted him, if you want to go back to our radio show where we're talking Justin Jolly, and we even said that he would be a perfect fit for Sean Payton. So if he drafts him, he's going to be you're going to want to come away from the draft with him. Well, Sean Payton drafted him, so we're sticking with it. He's a sleeper guy. Go out and get him with all costs. He's going late to mid 4th, so he's not going to cost you much.
Agreed. And it doesn't seem like it just based on the fact we both have him as a must-have, but do you have any concern about the ankle injury with Bo Nix?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't really have any either. I think he's still going to run. Even last year, I was surprised at how low his rushing numbers were. It was only, I think, 300 yards, 333, something like that.
Yeah, Peyton says he doesn't really have a running quarterback, right? Like, Bo can run. I don't think he wants him to run, though. All right, let's move on to the Chargers. So we got Alex's thoughts on the Chargers here. His must-haves are Omar Hampton, Justin Herbert, and Ladd McConkey. He's warm on Gatson, Njoku, Quentin Johnson, and Vidal. And his sleeper is Trey Harris, and nobody he's cold on.
Yeah, this is one that kind of, I guess I'm not surprised. I don't have anyone that I'm necessarily cold on with the Chargers. It's kind of just, I'm all in on this offense this year. They got the tackles back and healthy. You bring in Mike McDaniel. I like what he can bring to the table, and he's also going to have a quarterback in Justin Herbert that can do different things than he's ever been able to do. So I like all the pieces they brought together. And like we just talked about with Njoku, the combo of him and Gadsden is awesome because you're also now giving Gadsden a veteran like Njoku who has had success in this league and can help him learn to be even better. And you're getting a year of Njoku, who I think still has it at least for a year.
Oh, I'd say so.
Yeah.
He's been used very sparingly for the Browns. He had one good year, and that was about it. But the guy is like phenomenal talent. I remember when he came out, there was Noah Fant and Evan Ingram were actually in his class. And my tight end that class was David Njoku. He's just on shitty Browns. Shitty Browns.
And the interesting part is too, I don't think he's 30 years old yet. I think he's still only 28, 29 because he came into the league at like 19, turned 20 right after being drafted. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, we'll switch over to my thoughts on the Chargers. So my must-haves are Omar Hampton and Rondé Granson. I think those two are just going to explode. I'm warm on Ladd McConkey and Trey Harris. It's just hard to say who's going to control that wide receiver room, especially with Mike McDaniels, and they gave him his speed guy from this class, who I think is going to have some type of a role. And then I've got two sleepers in Quentin Johnson and Quinton Mitchell, the running back. Nobody cold either. It's like you, right? Like I think everybody's going to have their games on this offense. Nobody's going to be horrible, I don't think, but you're just guys that you can rely on. I think are only going to be Hampton and Gatson.
Okay, is that running back Keaton Mitchell that
yes,
you said, or is
Keaton
that
Mitchell? Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's him over Kamani Vidal and what we just saw from him last year?
I do. I think Vidal will be the immediate backup to Hampton and become the RB1 if Hampton goes down or misses any time. But I think there's going to be a thunder and lightning type of stuff with Mitchell. And Mitchell with that speed and the plays that McDaniels can draw up, he's one of those sleepers for me that I think he's going to have a good season.
Okay, that's interesting because I kind of thought just what we saw last year with Vidal being the second guy when Hampton did go down, that would just happen again this year. So interesting we fell on different guys in the backfield. But we do both agree there's going to be a second guy in this backfield.
Oh, there's going to be for sure. I think it's going to be the guy with the opposite play style than Hampton, than with the guy with similar play style. But we will see when the season starts. All right, we'll get to the Kansas City Chiefs now, and Alex's thoughts on the Chiefs. So what he has is his must-owns are Patrick Mahomes, Kenneth Walker III, and Rashid Rice. He's warm on Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy. He's cold on Brashard Smith and Kareem Hunt if he signs. And then his sleepers, I screwed up here somewhere. I got Jalen Royals and Brashard Smith. So I put him twice on there for you. You can let us know which where he belongs and who I missed as a sleeper.
Yeah, so Royals is a sleeper and Brashard Smith is the cold. That being said, I'm also considering moving Worthy up into the must-have segment. Part of that being the story coming out saying that he never quite recovered from that shoulder injury week 1, and that derailed his whole season, and Andy Reid coming out saying that there was stuff they just couldn't run with him because of his shoulder. I think that's something that we noticed because we were saying that they were using him differently, but to get confirmation from the team from something that we thought we saw, because even his snap counts were going down, which didn't make any sense after the postseason he had the year prior and the way he ended the season. So I'm starting to get back in on Xavier Worthy this season as a potential bounce back.
Making me pumped about my Worthy trade with Jackson Dart for the 1.01. We'll see if it works out. All right, we'll get to my thoughts on the Chiefs here. So my must-owns are Patrick Mahomes, Kenneth Walker III. I'm warm on Worthy and Kelce as well. And my sleeper is Cyrus Allen.
All right, coming out with a rookie speed guy.
Yep, maybe he can be what Worthy wasn't for them. Because you could say that about Worthy with the shoulder and all that stuff. It makes sense. Maybe he does have a chance, but they still went out and drafted Cyrus Allen and that Jeff Caldwell from Cincinnati, who are both also speed guys. So they want that speed wide receiver, and we still don't know who it's going to be because Worthy hasn't cemented himself as it.
No, and that's where I think the injury played a big role. I can understand where you're coming from too, because that's essentially what I said about the Broncos backfield. Right? They added running backs when I didn't necessarily expect. Like I expected one, not multiple. Well, they just did that same in the Kansas City Chiefs pass catching room. Can't talk today.
Well, that was a big weakness of theirs too. Some spots on the defense, but they fixed some holes.
Well, and especially with the injuries they've had too. So I can understand.
Move on to the Raiders. So here we go. Alex's must-have for the Raiders are Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. He's warm on Mendoza, Trey Tucker, Myers, Mike Washington. He's cold on Kirk Cousins, and his two sleepers are Jack Beck and Jalen Naylor.
Yeah, Naylor getting the fat money contract, and of course, you always hype up the guy you just signed, but they're talking about they think they can unlock a different part of him. I don't know that the Raiders are a team you want to try that, but if they're going to give the opportunity, I like opportunity. So let's see what happens. And then this team I thought was pretty easy because there's only 2 guys you actually really want to have. Like some other guys might give you useful weeks, but I don't think anybody else on this team is going to be consistent.
No. Though there might be a surprise, and that's where those sleepers come in. But I don't know what more you can get at a Jalen Naylor than you've already got from this league. He's not one of those guys. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's a nice little added depth piece. We'll call up my list here. So here's my Raiders list. My must-haves. I only got Brock Bowers.
Oh, no Genty?
No Genty. I just didn't like him last year. I owned him. I took him in the first round of a seasonal, and I was disappointed. So now until I see it, you're not a first-round talent. So then that's where you're going to go. So you're not a must-have. Like, I don't have to come out of that first round owning Gianti.
Okay.
I'm warm on Cousins because I do think Cousins starts as the starter. And depending on what he does, he's either going to hold on to that job or Mendoza is going to come in somewhere between week 8 and 12 is my thoughts.
I can understand that.
Like you, I've got Jack Beck as one of my sleepers. And then I am cold on Jalen Naylor. I want no frickin' part of that guy. I know what he is. And he's a boomer bust guy, and you're going to have to try to find those 2 or 3 weeks on these Raiders where he's going to be fantasy startable. So he's not a guy I'm touching.
Oh, it's interesting because you liked Darnell Mooney with Cousins going into last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where I see it. Similar.
But if you could go with Jalen Naylor's speed or Dracon Thornton's speed, who's like 6'4".
Oh, I agree, but they're paying one of them. The other guy, they just drafted, so they're not paying him anything. So
well,
that's
one
one of
could
the reasons
possibly win you some football games and the other can't. That's how I look at it.
I agree. But I think that's one of the reasons we end up so different in a lot of our stuff is a lot of times I follow the money. Like, who are they paying? Because that's who the owner is paying. And if he's not getting anything from that guy, then buy. So they tend to give him the opportunity. It's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I know that's how it is most parts, but every now and then, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's how you win, right?
Outlier.
Call your shot. Call your shot ahead of time. That's how you win.
Yep,
you like to call your shot.
All right. That's our fantasy light for this episode. Next week, we'll do the NFC West. Stay tuned for that.
Past events. Sporting events we'd love to go back and see live.
All right. This is past events. Little segment me and Alex do. We don't limit ourselves to just football. This could be any event that's ever happened in the sports community that you just think is amazing. So for me, I'll go first. I'm going to start with Steve Prefontaine. You ever heard of this guy?
Maybe. The name sounds familiar, but I also knew somebody named Fontaine growing up, so I could just be thinking of that.
All right. Well, this guy was a U.S. long-distance runner in the 70s out of University of Oregon. He also helped develop, because he was basically the test project for the first original Nike shoe. His coach was the guy that developed the shoe and sold it to Nike.
Yeah.
So, and he's also one of the guys, because there was 3 other guys with him in the 70s for the States that made running and that running fad go so crazy, and why running's now one of these things that people do to stay healthy. It's all because of Steve Prefontaine and these other guys that just created a rivalry. Competed in the 1972 Olympics in Munich, the one where Israel was taken hostage.
Yeah,
they shut it down for a couple of days, but people that were running did longer short distance run. They did the 100 meter and the 200 meter, where he was more of a long distance runner. Those guys were then going to run in the 400s and all that stuff against them the next day. But because of the Israel hostage taken, they got days of rest in between. So when the actual race came for gold and he's going against the German guy was the main guy, and they're going around, but the German guy kept the pace so slow at the beginning because they had to do, I think it was 12 laps. The pace was too slow, and Prefontaine, he's like, no, not doing this because I'm not going to win it. So he freaking, without even telling his coach, he just started sprinting with 4 laps left to go, running as fast as he can, therefore speeding up the pace. Everybody's got to keep up with him. And he ended up finishing 3rd because he just gassed out, right? Like it's hard to do even if you're trained.
Right.
And then before he was supposed to go to the 1976 Olympics, which he was the favorite for in that one, he got in a car crash and died.
Unfortunate.
So, did a lot of friggin' stuff for the running community. Great guy. tons of friggin' quotes because this guy, like, he was a smaller guy too, right? So growing up, he was a small kid, tried to get on the football team, was too small, getting pushed around. Basically ran that night after practice to go home, and he's like 10 or 9 years old. Ran so friggin' far, man, that he took all the nubs off the cleats. And his feet were fucking bleeding. So, and he's a great motivator. Like here's a picture of one of his posters that he's got here. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift.
Yeah, that's
like this is the type of shit the guy said.
Quote.
Then he's also got somebody may beat me, but they're gonna have to bleed to do it. Like this guy just did not give up, man.
Leave it all out there, blood, sweat, and tears. There's
a movie with Steve Prefontaine where they use what's his name there. He's a big actor now. Played the Joker in the latest Jokers with Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, that's it. Leto.
So Jared Leto plays him, and man, they look exactly alike. It was like the perfect guy to cast him because when I'm looking at images to pull up for the show, I'm like,
looks like Jared
I think
Leto.
That one's the movie. This one's the real one. That is hard to tell, but that movie, man, it's one of those movies I can watch and I get pumped all the time, like Draft Day. It just excites me, and it's a movie about running.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Man,
so
running is one of those. Running is just one of those sports I never could get into. I wish I enjoyed it. I can't do it. I don't know.
Me neither. I did though in high school, man. I friggin' I don't know. There's a lot of like soccer and basketball and stuff like that. I hate it. Well, we had one of the guys in our gym class was actually on the cross country team. And mind you, at this time, I'm like smoking dope and smoking cigarettes like crazy. Right. And the gym teacher's like, well, if you want to run against him in I think it was a 5-mile friggin' run. And I'm not practicing it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, sure. I'll do that instead of friggin' soccer. I ended up beating the guy. The coach was like trying to get me to join the track team. I'm like, why would I do that, man? Like, I just have this ability where I could just like run and put up with pain and get into a different mindset, just like a machine.
Yeah, see, it's hard to tap into that. So if you can, that's a gift for sure. Maybe that's what Steve is talking about.
Must be.
So for me, I'm going to baseball. You know, I love baseball. And one that I've got here, Doc Ellis, Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher, threw a no-hitter in 1972 while on LSD. He thought he was off that day, so he took some LSD and then found out, oh, shoot, you're pitching today. So he goes in and he pitches a complete game no-hitter while tripping balls on LSD. He come out later and said that it actually helped him see the trails on the ball to help him with control, which I find funny because in that game, one of the other things that was crazy about this is he had 8 walks, which is not normal, 1 hit batter and 3 wild pitches in that game, but didn't give up any hits. And I wonder after that line, if you're thinking these guys are just afraid to stand in the batting box and swing, because 8 walks and 3 wild pitches, you might get hit in the face. So that's where I would go. Because could you imagine watching a guy pitch on LSD?
Oh, would it be any different than a goalie on cocaine?
Yeah,
in the NHL? Because I know a couple goalies that did that. Carey Price and Grant Fuhr, considered 2 of the best goalies of all time.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yep.
Some people are built different. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. But that's where we'd go if we could go to some past events.
Down and talk about all the world stuff that goes on around the world under your nose. Never know where we'll end up. Come with us and we'll chase that rabbit down there, all over there today.
All right, we're into Shine the Light portion of the show where we talk about weird things that have happened or are happening around the world. And today we're going to talk about the Universe 25 experiment. So this was an experiment conducted by John B. Calhoun to show the collapsed behavior of an overall population, where basically he took 4 sets of mice, male and female, put them all in 4 different areas of this giant container that he made, where it would give them in abundance all the food they need, all the water they need, so they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about predators because nothing can get in here. They could just thrive as a society. The experiments took place from 1958 to 1962 with the brown rats, and then he did from 1968 to 1972. He did it with mice. So it gets a little bit.
Did you happen to see the dimensions of that enclosure, just for people to try to picture this thing?
Well, I do have a picture up here. So there's a couple of them that he made. This first one is, I think, was a 12 by 12, the first one he did. And then he ended up on this other one with the 4 compartments that I think was 40 by 40.
So the measurement that I was finding was 2.5 meters square, which is roughly 8 feet by 8 feet.
Okay, that's the first one.
Okay.
Which would be this one. And then he's got a much bigger one over the years that he gets to, where the water and the food supply is kind of built different. He's got divided into 4 different rooms, sections, and then there's ramps to each section. So basically what would happen is these rats, obviously the population would grow because all they have to do is eat, drink, and fuck, right? Exactly. Grow and it get bigger and bigger. But when the population got so much to a size where the male mice started forming gangs, and the big, stronger mice would pick on the other mice, and the mice got to a point where the female mice didn't want to even have sexual relations with the male mice, and then the male mice were having sex with each other, confusing the genders, and just stopped having babies. And then the ones that did, they couldn't get pregnant because they're so stressed out from these gang mice
situations. Yeah.
Even if they did go to term and gave birth, they would die at birth, and the kid would be still going. And then the mice eventually got to a point where the kids that they were having, if they were male mice, they're beautiful male mice. So you couldn't tell the difference between a female mice and a male mice, and the population, they did this for 10 years. They did these experiments, and every single time it ended with the end of civilization for each block of experiment.
Yeah, and it was kind of crazy. And one of the things people were trying to say about that was that overpopulation led to the destruction of society. One of the things I found interesting about it too is that it said that the peak of the population ended up being about half of what he initially estimated it could have been. So like he thought it would be about 4,000 as the max threshold, and it peaked at 2,200. But one of the things people were pushing back on is saying that, okay, but how often did you clean that thing? Because part of the issue is that when you have people not taking care of what's around them, like their own environment, then things start to degrade more. I think it's another name for it is that broken glass theory. You know that? Where if there's a broken glass, people are more inclined to go and break all the other glass. And if you fix it, people will keep things nice. So, I mean, it is mice, so humans are a little more complicated, obviously. But either way, it's still super interesting to find. Like, if you have overpopulation and people are not clean, you can expect things to collapse.
Oh yeah, it's just the whole friggin' experiment to me is just friggin' nuts, right? Like,
yeah, it started with like 4 mice,
and it just gets way overpopulated. And then you got to kind of think of the fall of the Romans, right? They use this experiment from this guy, and they compare it to like the fall of the Roman and like those other 3 times when civilization went down to less than 1,000 people. But those, I think, were different things. So they're just more or less looking at this more so from the Romans and where we are now. Because if you look at it, all these mice, they went to sexual deviance, couldn't tell the difference between males and females. Look at where we are now in the world. No different.
And one of the other things, one of the other things, like you had touched on, like some of the mice that were well groomed and well kept and like higher in society also decided that they weren't going to have kids because they didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, just nuts. And then before they even got to that point, he was noticing that once it got to a certain size, that certain groups of rats or mice would all go to one chamber to eat together.
Yeah, so they were like creating those social circles.
Yeah, right? Which was just nuts. Just very interesting experiment. Go out and read. This is just to touch base on it, bring some light to some things, but got to remember, people, question everything.
Have a good one. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe.